What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about today in the Johnny Depp trial of, versus Amber Heard. This was a pretty, so far, there's still, again, I always have to look at my clock, there's still around an hour left of it. It's just the depositions. I believe they're talking to his talent agent, and it'll be Johnny's side. So that's the only part of today that I've missed. I think I've got enough information. The beginning of today, incredibly boring. I will say I was the least engaged out of any day so far that I've watched this thing all the way through. But, I'm falling behind on the other videos I have to do and, work life and all that. But no, it was very generic as well. What basically today consisted of, at least in the beginning, was just police officer after police officer after police officer. They nailed, I believe, they showed the body cam footage for both of the guys, even though they only talked to one, and then they interviewed 3 cops in all, 2 that went to, the penthouse suite the first time, and then one of the 2 cops that went to the penthouse suite the second time, like an hour or so after the first 2 went. And pretty much what was received, the information that we got from that, is that nothing. Amber, it just continues to look bad for her. And I know we say that every single day, and God, I hope the jury realizes that, but nobody has seen this girl injured. The first 2 police officers, they went in, they check her, they did the full sweep, they talked to her, they look at her, they make the decision that nope, nothing going on here. The bruising is just her crying. It's fake, in terms of if they kind of overdid the photos afterwards. And remember, I believe a lot of the metadata, now some of it we know, some of it I think is out there. I think we know the date of the picture. I don't remember it right now, but a lot of the metadata of Amber stuff, there are no dates. That's why when Johnny Depp was throwing out, when he was on the stand, he was saying, well, I don't know the dates for these. And nobody would give him the dates. It's because a lot of those times that he asked that question, there were things coming from Amber's side, and she didn't provide any of that information. So when you don't have any of that stuff and you're just going based off looks or memory, well, you have to give me dates, you have to give me times, and Amber didn't provide almost any of that stuff. But again, the general idea here was just to get every officer that, went there and responded to these house calls, in that nothing happened. Amber was completely... Now, she wasn't fine. She was crying. She didn't want to talk to them. She was, resistant of any help or just resistant of giving them any kind of information. And that's that. That's really, they asked the same goddamn questions over and over and over again to these police officers. But again, the general idea is nobody saw anything on Amber. And when they did, they felt that it wasn't good enough, basically. The house was not trashed. There was nothing to raise a red alarm. There was nothing physically on her face to raise a red alarm to kind of take that next step. That's pretty much what we got from that. Then we got, I don't remember his name, but he was very, very funny. Basically, the desk worker at the penthouse that they were staying at, and very funny. He had like the classic line at the end where he's like, "I'm just done with this. I don't I don't want to be here. I don't want to testify. All right, like I'm not having fun." Stuff like that. He was very good. He wasn't as good as Isaac, but he was like the next closest thing. But again, with him, it's that his memory, he can't remember what he had for breakfast today. So on Amber's side, it was more getting him at like, well, you saw Amber, you were within like 2 to 4 feet of her, so her face was like right in front of you, but you didn't see anything because you can't remember anything. And his answer is basically, well, I looked directly at her, and it was, I believe, 4 to 5 days after she, supposedly had a phone thrown at her. She had these huge bruises. And by the way, there's pictures being thrown around on Twitter of people that are, chiming in and saying, hey, I had a phone thrown at me, and here's what I look, and the eye is completely closed, it's huge, it's red all over, like it looks god-awful. And they said this is what it actually looks like when a phone is thrown at you, what Amber looked like, and it's a fair point. The thing that they really got to catch Amber on, which I'm sure shouldn't be too difficult, is that she claims to have all of these severely, and remember, this is a trait of people with her. It's not saying everybody that has those disabilities, the personality disorders, it's not saying that they, that all of them are like this, but a trait within, some of the things that she's been diagnosed with is that you overemphasize things. You create this big, in fact, that's what the psychologist was saying yesterday, where you create these stories and they sound kind of flashy, but it doesn't sound right. There's really no details like beginning, middle, end to like make sense within a frame of time. You don't do that stuff. You just try to make it seem flashy in the moment. You use a lot of words. You use a lot of descriptive words. That's literally what she said. And again, Amber tends to talk like that, oh, he pulled my hair and smashed my head and I had broken ribs and cuts and bruises. Like what you've shown, he must be a pretty weak guy, because it doesn't even if he did do all of those things to her, it doesn't really look like it's all that bad. I'm not saying it would be okay. It absolutely would not be. But like, you know what I mean? I think it would be worse. So it's just, thinking about it that way, it's like a phone creates this little circle on your face that cops think is just you crying. That, like, cops, if that was a real bruise, it was such a meaningless bruise that the police officers, 2 of them, thought that it was just your tears. You know what I mean? Like, it's so sad, actually, when you think about it that way. But so we had that. And then again, we had the guy who saw her 4 to 5, I think it was 5 days later. No, it was a Saturday night to a Wednesday night, so 4 nights later. And he basically, and he rationalized it pretty good. While he said he didn't, he doesn't remember well. He can't tell you what hairstyle or what she was wearing or and consistently, he can't do that. But he did make a good point, which is a fair point really with all of Johnny's witnesses, when Amber's team comes back and says, well, you don't know if she was wearing makeup, or, well, you gotta look at her, but did you get a good look? How can you really tell? Like the whole double negative kind of thing. He made a good point in that, well, if it was something like that, if it was a swelling, a phone got through, a huge bruise, that is something that sticks out in your head. So when you have people that say, well, I can't remember, I don't remember well, things like that you would remember. So basically that was the point. He was looking at her and he was saying, well, hey, there was nothing that stood out to me. That doesn't necessarily mean I don't remember. It does mean I don't remember anything, but the kind of reverse of that is, if it was something noticeable on her, I would have remembered, because it was something that would have stood out, and it wasn't something that stood out. See, and I think that's a very valid point. There's a lot of you just walk around, you see something, what is something on a person that would maybe make it stand out? Something kind of big, flat, something that's you don't normally see. So I thought that was a pretty, that's something we haven't heard yet in the 2.5 weeks I've been watching. That was a very valid point. And then this last little part, now again, Johnny's people haven't talked to him, but I think they're going to get pretty much the same answers out of him that Amber's team, which accidentally kind of got it on. So basically, this is a talent agent. I don't know if he still works for Johnny, but he did during this era. And, he didn't want to throw people under the bus. He was saying things like, well, if you want my opinion, I can't tell you how the general population felt. You'd have to do research and you'd have to like poll and stuff. Like, that's the way he kind of talked, right? Probably to not throw your Hollywood overlords under the bus, I'm pretty sure, is where he is kind of he has to stay in that realm, right? But what he basically was saying is, well, in my opinion, and he dropped some bombs, like legitimate grenades, in that his opinion is the things that hurt Johnny the most were the personal life aspects of him coming out, okay? So not his reputation as being a good actor. That's never changed. His on-screen work. The reputation of his off-screen work is what has changed, and he tested. Okay, that's what I think has changed. Then the questions evolved into, well, what did it? Was it the divorce? Was it the restraining order? Was it, and he said, eventually he got to it, it's in his opinion, it was Amber's accusations. Now, maybe that was also the op-ed, but in general, throughout this entire thing, and mainly as we start to go through 2018, it was the accusations thrown at him from Amber Heard. That is what, and he says opinion, again, probably not to get people in trouble, but then he went on to say, why is it his opinion? It's because he talks to people inside the industry. So he said, based off conversations he's had with people in Disney and outside of Disney, just, people that are around the industry, that's the sense he got. So, I mean, so you can't qualify him as not necessarily like an expert, right? But he's in the field. So I take it as more valuable. And again, it's up to the jury, right? He is just saying it's my opinion, and his opinion is separate from everybody else. But again, hope jury members, please, I know you can't watch this, that's illegal, but please use your head, right? He says his opinion because he's talking to these people. So of course, that's why he forms the opinion, because he talks to them, and it's and I wish he would have said that, like, unspoken, unwritten. He got close, but he was hinting unspoken rule. When there's these accusations and stuff thrown at you, you're out. You're out. And that's then the next part. Then they talk about Pirates of the Caribbean 6. And again, he was in the there was the conversations about casting Johnny Depp as Jack, obviously for Pirate 6, and that completely stopped. It stopped, and then even the question was asked, well, did you try to ask, well, what can Johnny do to make this stuff go away so that he can, what can he do, I guess, separate from everything to kind of get himself back into Disney, back into Pirates? And the answer that this guy gave is nothing. You can't do anything. So again, please, for the love of God, you have to read in between the lines, specifically with this guy, because he can't throw people. He did actually say Jerry Bruckheimer. He talked to Jerry Bruckheimer, so that was kind of throwing him under the bus. But again, it was pretty much Disney made the decision once these reading in between the lines. And we all knew this, but now we had somebody who really did say it, but just kind of pieces of it. It's about the jury putting it all together. Accusations were thrown at Johnny. Before that, yes, there were hit pieces. Yes, there were negative things said. Even the divorce, even the restraining order. But once Amber starts to talk, and once the news starts to run with it, and once 2018 hits, and once the op-ed hits, all of that stuff happens. Disney says, nope, you're out. We're not even talking about it. Which, by the way, F you, Disney. We made the decision. Johnny's done. We're kicking him out. They tell Jerry Bruckheimer, hey, Jerry, you're going to have to rewrite Pirate 6 or you're going to have to think about how to do it differently because Johnny's not in it. Then Jerry Bruckheimer tells the agent, along with other people in Hollywood, because the agent said that. He was talking to other people as well. And the response is, hey, Johnny's not in 6. He doesn't ask, well, is there a way of sneaking him in? The answer is no. And again, that's what he was kind of saying. And that's what Amber's lawyer was saying. Well, is there any way he could have been in it? No. The answer is no. Once this stuff happens, the Me Too moot, you're out. Once you're accused, you're guilty. You're guilty until you're innocent, at least hopeful. I guess, that's the stupidest thing I've ever said in my life, and that's the truth of how the world works right now, and that is dumb, but hopefully it actually does work like that in this case, right? Guilty until proven innocent, so hopefully once he's proven innocent, the whole thing goes away. That's what I'm hoping for his career. Why? You know what I mean? But again, reading in between the lines, once this stuff happens, you're done. You don't have a chance in hell. Get out. And don't ask questions. Don't be so stupid and naive. And again, that's what this guy was trying to say when she was saying, well, did you ask? Did you ask specifically, is it because of Amber's accusations? And he said, no, it was understood. Jerry understood it. I understood it. The industry understood it. And he said that. Yeah, duh. Once that stuff happens, once Johnny is accused by Amber, Disney makes the call, and they make it immediately. And then it's an unspoken rule for every executives, writers, talent agencies, everybody. It's an unspoken rule. You are screwed. You are kicked out. Don't ask if you can come back because you will not be allowed. Don't ask if there's anything you can do. The answer is take it, take the L, and get out. And that's kind of it. And there's no hope for you, and that's it. And that's how it works. And we all knew that. That's been the story. And again, why is that so damning? That's kind of what they were trying to get almost out of Johnny Depp when he was talking about Sean Bailey, and there was basically the promise of Pirate 6, and that was taken away once the stuff came. And they're like, well, you can't say hearsay because that's Sean Bailey telling it to you. But now we have the talent agent who's talking to these people, right? So he would know, and he would be credible in the way that you can't stop him from saying those things. Now we have him saying the same thing. Pirate 6 was guaranteed. We were negotiating Pirate 6. Once this stuff happens, it's over. And that defamation, that's the whole point, right? Once this op-ed, and again, the technical aspects are difficult to show, very difficult to prove, but, outside of the court public opinion, again, we all see this stuff, it all makes sense. Do you know what I mean? He was accused, Hollywood dropped him, because, by the way, don't think that Disney was the only one who did this. Warner Bros. Went a little bit further in keeping him, but then they eventually, and that was only because of J.K. Rowling, and then he was dropped from them after the UK case, right? So it was the same thing. Everybody, once this happens to them, it's not just Disney. Again, I said Disney made the call for Pirates. Disney makes the call for that. Warner Bros., Paramount, these are all these companies make the calls, and then it's an unwritten rule. Hey, Johnny, fire your agents because there's no need for them anymore. They can't take calls. Nobody's going to call them. They're going to call these top agencies, and they're going to say, well, there was the unspoken rule. We wrote it on the wall. Didn't you see it? You're not allowed it. Like, that's how it is, and we all know that, and now we kind of got, again, as close as I think we're going to get to the answer. That's about as close as we can get. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure, as always, you guys are subscribed, bell icon turned on. We will do a recap tomorrow for whatever happens tomorrow, and then we'll do some fun stuff on Friday. I'll probably live stream on Friday as well, okay? Thank you guys for watching, and I hope to see you all on the next video.